Inflammation is actually a great thing. It gets a bad rap because it is our body's natural response to a harmful stimuli or anything like pathogens or injury, right? That leads us to this redness, swelling, pain. But that's actually our immune system working to repair, protect, and overcome these triggers in our body. And the more that we can create this adaptive response to overcome the inflammation, that's when we see the benefits, right? Like we think of sauna or cold plunge. All of these lead to an inflammatory response, right? How many people listening have gone to a cold plunge and come out red, like swollen, right? Or they come out of some heavy exercise and they have this inflammatory response through recovery, right? So that recovery and that balance between the stressor and the adaptation is a healthy thing only as long as we are able to overcome the stressor. So inflammation is a normal process within the human body, and it's a great thing that it exists. It just is something that we need to actually be overcoming and adapting to versus chronically being inflamed. So, some of my favorite foods for gut health would have to be any sort of fruits, vegetables, fibers, as well as probiotic rich foods. Dairy, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, all of these work together. So they work synergistically. So we have prebiotics that are found in fruits and vegetables, and prebiotics are really just fibers. And those fibers feed the good gut bugs, which we can incorporate in through our diet through yogurts, kefirs, sauerkrauts, etc. And we can get through our diets. Now, the foods that we eat and consume that have probiotics in them actually don't modulate our microbiome. They don't change the status of our microbiome. It's not like we eat them and they will shift our microbiome. What actually happens is they just help with digestion. So they help to break down and absorb the nutrients that are found in our foods. So when it comes to favorite gut healthy foods, I like to say just get in a diversity. The worst thing that we could do for our gut health is to restrict our diet, is to eat the same thing every day, because that really, one, promotes the risk of any sort of infection or any sort of malnourishment from that specific food, because no food is going to have everything you need, right? The healthiest microbiome is going to be the most diverse. So that means feeding it the most diverse amounts of food, types of foods, in order to nourish that diversity within the microbiome. Acid reflux triggers, there's a few things in your diet that you can do as well as your lifestyle. So, diet wise, we're thinking spicy foods, citrus fruits, fatty fried foods, caffeines, alcohol, large meals, and then laying down. One of the worst things you can do as an acid reflux trigger is to eat a lot of food or eat a heavy dinner and then go lie down on the couch, because now the food is getting just sitting there, and we're not letting gravity do its actual function and pull the food down our digestive system. It's kind of just sitting there lulling, and as a result could come back up if your lower esophageal sphincter is weak. Now, your lower esophageal sphincter is what protects the stomach acid from coming back up our throats. So, as long as you have that strong lower esophageal sphincter, it should keep that stomach acid low. Now, over periods of infection, of stress, etc., maybe hernias, things can happen to lower the function or the strength of that sphincter that keeps the acid in our stomachs. And so as that weakens, that acid comes back up. So focusing on healing that lower esophageal sphincter, removing those dietary um, triggers in the meantime, focusing on stress, relaxation can help to tighten that esophageal sphincter and prevent some more acid reflux from coming up. Now, Zinc carnosine's really good for strengthening that. Melatonin's really good at strengthening that. Anything that will allow for that regenerative process for the body can really help to remove those acid reflux symptoms that may come up. the the easiest one that people get wrong is just by eating too quickly, not taking the time to sit, digest, eat their food, chew their food. Mastication is the first step of digestion. Actually, smelling food is the first step in digestion, because smelling food actually triggers our saliva to start coming out, our digestive enzymes to start getting worked up, the body to start signaling specific hormones to get ready to want to eat. Our saliva has carbohydrate specific enzymes that break down those carbohydrates called amylases, and those can help to break down the foods. I don't know if you've ever had like a sandwich and then later on had it stuck in your teeth and been like, oh, that's digested a little bit, right? It's because those amylases have gone to work for you a little bit. But similarly, if you think about it, how many of us just are T-Rexers and we just eat, swallow whole, and then we leave these essentially just a muscle in our body to do all of the hard work. So don't eat too quickly. Don't try not to swallow air when you're eating by eating and talking. Sit in a calm place, chew your food down really well. Some tips I like to say for that are: one, use your left hand, your non-dominant hand when you're eating. Two is put your fork down in between bites. And three is try counting to 20 in between each bite and really taking the time to chew to mush before swallowing. Usually those will help. If you're having issues with gluten, you should probably try removing it in the meantime. The other thing is, I've actually been able to reintroduce gluten for a lot of my patients. So, lowering that inflammation can actually help to seal up the stomach lining to allow for uh, the reintroduction successfully of gluten back into the diet. So, I've had people who had issues with gluten, had issues with dairy, come to me. We go through the CorePerform protocol, and afterwards, they email me years later and they're like, I can't believe it. I'm eating cheese and crackers and I feel amazing. And it's possible. It really is possible. There's only two things that can actually open up our intestinal barrier. For some people it's gluten, but the majority of people, it's actually just this overgrowth of dysbiotic bacteria and the bad gut bugs. So if we can eliminate that and we can create this synergistic, this healthy microbiome, those barriers are now put back together, they're in place, and we don't have as much immune inflammation to anything going through our digestive system. So, if we want to protect our gut from antibiotics, you can take a probiotic, right? There are specific spore based probiotics that may be more beneficial to use while you're on probiotics, or sorry, antibiotics. Because remember, if you are taking a medication to kill bacteria and you put more bacteria into your gut, they may cancel each other out. So, a smarter way is to use a spore based probiotic during the time of your actual antibiotic round. And there are specific strains of probiotics, right? Not spore based, but actual bacteria strains that you can have during antibiotics that have been shown to reduce the effects of antibiotics. So it's not to say that it completely won't be beneficial, but there are some specific strains that you might want to use. Um, Apart from that and supplementing, you know me, I love diet and lifestyle approaches to protecting the gut. So, eating more fiber rich foods, staying hydrated, only using those antibiotics if you really need to prevent the disruption of the gut bacteria. And again, focusing on a food first approach where we're focusing on diversity. We're focusing maybe on some easier to digest foods during this time, or supporting the body with digestion with some probiotic rich foods like we talked about, the yogurts, the kefirs, etc., to help to digest those foods when maybe the antibiotics are killing off everything that's in our gut. Because remember, it doesn't just kill off the bad guys, it kills off the good guys too. So we need to be adding in some of those good guys as we can, maybe through our diets first, if you're not sure, or if you're not working with a provider who could help you with that specific strain. So the microbiome plays a huge role in all systems of the body. It's one of our first pillars in our three-phase health optimization blueprint that we focus on with each of our clients. And that's because our microbiome is responsible for digestion, absorption of nutrients. How do we expect our any of our organs to function if we cannot absorb the nutrients from the food we're eating? You can eat all the salads you want, all the healthy fibers, probiotics, etc. But if your body is not absorbing that, then your organs are still not getting the nutrition that they need to function optimally, right? So it all comes back and starts with the gut. So it helps with digestion, it supports the immune system, it synthesizes certain vitamins like our B12 is synthesized in the gut. And as a result, it really contributes to your overall well being, I would say. And so starting with the gut is essential for any sort of health practice you go through. Yes and no. You're probably thinking I'm going to say something like crazy fasting. Really, all you need is a 12-hour fast. So what does that look like? It looks like waking up at 6 a.m., having breakfast, and then finishing dinner at 6. That's it. That's truly what we know in the research, what's going to optimize longevity and gut health for now. Maybe longevity, there's a little bit more research in terms of specific styles of fasting, but we're still a little too new to really dictate exactly how to fast for longevity. But when it comes to gut health, 12 hours is all you really need. And specifically for a lot of people who are trying to optimize their athletic performance, optimize their hormones, I would say stick to 12 hours. During the day, we can eat every 3 or 4 hours. We have what's called the MMC, the migrating motor complex. And typically it cycles every 3 or 4 hours. So as long as you're meal spacing throughout the day, not only is this going to help with muscle retention, it's going to help with hormone balance, it's going to help with blood sugar regulation, and it's going to help with overall immune function, all the cleansing systems. So fasting, sure, 12 hours during the night and then meal spacing during the day. That is going to be what's optimal for your gut health. Intermittent fasting, it might support for a couple days. Maybe you may feel better, but in the long run, it might disrupt your gut microbiota. So I wouldn't do it too long, too frequently. I would really focus on that 12 hours and then the meal spacing throughout the day. 4 meals, 4 hours apart, or 3 hours apart, or 4 meals 3 hours apart. However, which way you want to space it out. Hey everyone, my name is Dasha. I'm the founder and owner of CorePerform, where we help transition people through a three-phase model to optimize their health. We start with the gut, we then go to hormones, and then we go to physique changes. So when it comes to fitness and gut health and hormones, we are the key to that. My background comes in nutritional epidemiology and research. I am a registered dietitian, and you can find me on Dasha Fitness. You can find us on coreperform.com. And I'm always happy to help, always here for you guys, and anything or resources you need, questions you have. I have so many blogs, recipes, etc. on the website, and we can also send anything you need. So just shoot me a DM and I'll be happy to allocate those accordingly.